Welcome to a Race Week edition of Light Conversations with Bob. That's right, Race Week. NASCAR is back. After 9 weekends without racing because of the COVID-19 pandemic, NASCAR is back this Sunday at Darlington, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. To get you ready for the race, I thought it'd be great to have Jeff Gordon as our guest today. He can talk to us about the challenges he will face in giving us analysis on the Darlington race as he broadcasts from the Charlotte studio instead of inside a booth overlooking the racetrack. And we will also talk to Jeff about how his life has been different the last couple of months. So here's our interview with Jeff Gordon. Well, I'd like to welcome Jeff Gordon, who has enjoyed 7 wins at Darlington, which, by the way, I think is 7 more than he has in his entire iRacing career. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. I'm really looking forward to going to Darlington, not just because it's getting NASCAR back to the racetrack after all the iRacing, which I've enjoyed the iRacing. It's been fun. It's been challenging, especially me getting behind the wheel and trying it out myself. But since I've come to Fox in the 4 years that I've been up in the booth, we've not done a Darlington race. And then, as you mentioned, 7 wins there. It's one of my favorite racetracks. I love competing there, and the challenges that come along with this track are immense. Then you take this unique set of challenges that are going these teams and drivers are going to be faced with because no practice, no qualifying, unique set of circumstances and how they're going to be interacting with one another at the racetrack. That's going to make it incredibly intense and I think make for a great race and a great show for us at Fox.
And of course, you'll be doing that show from the Charlotte studio, and you and Mike have and Larry have kind of gotten a little bit used to that and doing the iRacing. I'm curious, is there anything that you learned from doing the iRacing in the studio that you hope that you can bring to the Darlington telecast since you won't be there on site in the booth?
I mean, even when we're in the booth and we're at the track, we're trying to stay focused on time and scoring, the monitors in that booth. But yeah, just having that ability to look out at the track and see what's happening on pit road every once in a while. Maybe a car peels off that's not on a monitor that has a problem. You can just alert somebody a little bit quicker in the production truck. And I think that's going to be something that we're not going to have as much access to. But through iRacing, we have gotten very comfortable with our setup and the social distancing and how we interact, how we communicate, and really staying focused on these monitors. Matter of fact, the monitors in the studio are huge, way bigger than the ones we actually have, and more detail in the ones we can have at the track in the booth. So I think the biggest thing that Mike and I have been working on, and of course I lean on Mike's experience a lot of how can we make this as natural as possible and feel like we're at the racetrack as much as possible. And one way to do that is how he and I make eye contact and communicate. And so we're kind of readjusting how we're going to be more than 6 feet apart, but we're going to at least be able to get into some conversations where we can make that eye contact and hand signals and some of the things that are important to a broadcast from the racetrack.
Do you have any idea how much you would use the monitors at the racetrack versus just focusing on what you see on the racetrack visually?
You use them a lot. I mean, I would say 90% of the time you're using the monitors because, as I quickly learned when I came to Fox and started doing broadcasts, it really confuses the viewer if you're talking about things that are not happening that they're seeing. So, Artie Kempner, our director, early on taught me, you know, pictures, 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 monitor, monitor, and I respected that and appreciated that a lot. So it's something I've worked on to really stay focused on the monitors. What's happening off the monitors is really about information that we can give to to the camera operators and director Artie or producer Barry Landis, and just to be able to be prepared for something or say, hey, we need to capture a go back and see the replay because somebody had an issue here, or I think I saw somebody get in the wall there. Go back and look at this. those are going to be some of the things. Now we're going to rely on those camera operators, on the production truck to say, hey, we just saw this, take a look at it. So I think that those scenarios that I'm talking about, of how often we called something like that from the box, from the um, um, from up above in the booth. I think that it's very rare. So I actually think especially iRacing giving us this experience. I think we're ready and prepared to do it this way.
And of course, going to Darlington, as I said, you won 7 times there. Do you have a favorite?
Oh, yeah, of course, what was that, '07 when I thought that's one that stands out to me, that one, and then going for the $1,000,000, those 2 seem to really stand out to me. The only thing about the $1,000,000 one was even though we won the race, we had a great day, the way it ended, I was a little disappointed in myself, to be quite honest. I slapped the wall a couple of times and almost cost myself the win, and allowing Jeff Burton to get that close because I made a couple mistakes where the other race in '07 when Steve Letarte decided to give me track position, even though it looked like we were blowing up, the engine was overheating. Um, it was a brilliant call and it was an exciting and fun way to win that race. And so that one seemed, and then the radiator just exploded as I pulled into victory lane. So that one's pretty memorable.
And do you remember, are you somebody who remembers all the details of the wins, or are you one of those drivers who kind of remembers more the details of losses?
Losses, yeah, I think I remember the losses and the crashes and some of those things that stand out in my mind a lot more. I, you know, I remember going to Darlington. I think it's one of the first times, and we were having a good day. And me and Michael Waltrip got together through a green flag pit stop sequence, and boy, does that stand out to me. Not only that we had a great run going that was ended by that incident, but the way I handled my interview and had to apologize to Michael later. So, some races like that, the ones that got away from us, not just Darlington, but others, seem to be ones that stand out more to me, or that when I'm trying to remember things, the ones I go to first.
I made me think of, I could see kind of maybe the wheels going in your head when we showed Ray Evernham talking about your notes from the 1996 North Wilkesboro win. And I was curious, do you remember like setups and spindles? I mean, like, are you a Mark Martin type who could tell me what he was running 25 years ago at what track?
Not at all. The way I grew up racing was is quarter midgets, go karts, sprint cars, midgets, and the suspension and how these cars were set up were so simple, right? You have solid axles. You didn't have um, you know all the geometry and all the weight and all the different cross weights and all the things that you had to deal with. I went to Australia one year by myself and ran midgets in some sprint car races. And I pretty much did all the setups myself and did the shock adjustments and air pressures and worked with a pretty small crew of people. But I enjoyed that side of it. Once I got into NASCAR, I learned very quickly aerodynamics and the way these cars are set up are so much more intricate and detailed that I wanted to leave that up to the experts. I was fortunate that I had one of the best that there's ever been in Ray Evernham early on, and that I could rely on him. So now, when I heard him talking about springs and shocks, of course I laugh because I know how much different they are today. So I know what's in the car, but it's not something that I have a long list of notes or a memory like I've seen on social media with guys like Mark Martin.
Well, you talk about how everything is so intricate, and it made me wonder that, this is an industry where everybody is working all the time virtually. There's very little time off. And I'm curious if you felt, has the industry been able to learn anything from the last couple of months where where many people have been pretty much forced to not to work on cars and not to do racing things that they normally would?
Well, I think you try to make the best of every situation, as challenging and as difficult as this has been for the whole world. For the race teams, it's been no different. Been very tough, very challenging times. So I think it's allowed everybody to put their priorities in order, be mindful of the things that are the most important. Your health, your family. But when you are looking at your work, you're looking at what are unique ways we're able to capitalize on technology, and doing Zoom meetings and interacting, through the team's video conferencing to communicate, and strategize and be prepared whenever that moment came. And I think, it went from how do you stay in business, to, how do we stay prepared and safe and healthy when we get back to work. And then how do you, now the focus is how can we be competitive and go win Darlington. And I think it's been quite a roller coaster ride for every team that's out there. And that's why I'm anxious to get to the track from the TV side of things, to see who managed this time best. What did people have to endure, that's relatable, that everybody, is going through. And then, who's going to come out, in this kind of challenging situation at Darlington, and excel.
You talk about Zoom meetings. I assume you're a guy who has lots of meetings throughout a week, and you normally would be traveling to them and have a lot of face-to-face interaction with people. Has Zoom and other video conferencing filled that void, or has it been strange for you?
It was. I'm not a big tech guy, so it was difficult for me at first to try to figure out, how to set up all these things where it worked properly. But now I'm very comfortable with it. I see the advantages of it, but I miss the social interaction. I'm a social person. I like, to have conversations, as a group, face to face. And so that's been tough, for me, to not be even, Mother's Day, right, was just around the corner, and not being able to hug my mom on Mother's Day, it was disappointing. But we've all adjusted, and we're looking at the world differently and trying to stay positive and make the most of it. And I think that's what these race teams are doing. That's what I've done personally. That's what we're going to do with the broadcast on Sunday.
Talking about personal adjustments, I saw your wife's Instagram post where you were coloring her hair. I haven't seen a second post, so I'm curious if you've been fired or is there a second appointment already set?
Yeah, I was asked about it the other day, so I think the gray is back. Yeah, you find these things that matter, whether it be your kids, your wife, yourself, that are the small things in life that put a smile on your face or help you function, better. And I found out that one was an important one to my wife. And when she came and asked, I said, "You got to be kidding me! You want me to color your hair? No way am I going to do that." But you know what? I'm up for a good challenge. I had the time. I was at home, so we took it on. And so I've actually done it twice now. I think the thing that was posted was the second time. That's why the first one would not have looked like I knew what I was doing. Second one, I sort of knew what I was doing. I have a feeling an appointment's around the corner, which is good because I'm almost in need for another haircut.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that point in my house yet. Yeah, we've trusted each other with the hair. Um, Talking about maybe a little bit more serious matter is that I know on both your iRacing starts, the Jeff Gordon Children's Foundation kind of used that to help generate funds. And I'm curious, as somebody who's very active in philanthropy, how difficult is it in these times to raise funds, and kind of what has been the challenges during this time?
Well, yeah, it is tough. I mean, I think, for us at the Jeff Gordon Children's Foundation, it's really about, um, the constant reminder that cancer patients and families, what they've had to endure through their process of diagnosis and treatments, that COVID-19 doesn't slow that down, doesn't stop that from happening. They know all too well what it's like to social distance, and to have to isolate or quarantine. And while all the focus right now is on our nation, on the global aspects of how COVID-19 is impacting all of us. I think for us at the foundation, if we get the opportunity to remind people of what kids are going through and how we can help, and we had tremendous support through iRacing. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Bob, because folks out there really responded to that and pitched in, and we raised a really nice amount of money for pediatric cancer research and better treatment. So those families are very appreciative that we're going to be supporting through all that, and all of us at the foundation, we're appreciative of that opportunity during these challenging times.
Was that one of the reasons why you did it? I mean, because I would get emails from the foundation that were like, "Hey, Jeff is back." It was certainly a way to kind of bring people back into both the foundation and to watch to watch the telecast.
No, it just was something that came about once it looked like I was going to do the events. At first, when we first started doing the iRacing events, some folks from Fox, maybe Brad Zager or something, said to me, "Hey, would you be interested in doing one of these events?" I'm like, "No way, I'm not going to do one." And then as we did a few of them, and I was really enjoying the broadcasting side of it, but I was interested in being a part of a race. And I'd driven a few laps every week. I tried to get whatever track we were going to. I tried to get on a rig and make laps so I could understand what the drivers were going through for that weekend. And started enjoying it and said, well, okay, maybe Talladega. I could do Talladega. That's not maybe as challenging or difficult of a track to learn. And so I did that one. And then I said, I'm never going to do another one again. That went horrible. But when North Wilkesboro came up in conversations, I was thinking to myself, how can I miss out on North Wilkesboro? Won the last race there, iconic race, historical NASCAR. It was going to be our last iRacing event with the Pro Invitational Series, and I'm so glad that I was a part of it. I don't see iRacing being in my future, but it was fun to be a part of it.
Well, I am looking forward to the future, the immediate future on Sunday, and seeing actual race cars on the racetrack. Thanks, Jeff, for your time today, and looking forward to seeing your analysis on Sunday, 3:30 p.m. on Fox.
We're all looking forward to it, Bob, so thank you very much.
I hope you have enjoyed these conversations during the suspension of the NASCAR season. We don't expect to do them for a little bit as NASCAR resumes this accelerated schedule, but hopefully they'll return at some point. And just a quick reminder to everyone about the upcoming schedule. For Darlington, this Sunday, Cup race, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Then Tuesday, the Xfinity race, 8 p.m. Eastern on FS1. And then Wednesday, May 20th, another Cup race, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1. Then everything moves to Charlotte with the traditional Memorial Day race, 600 miles, 6 p.m. Eastern on Fox, the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend, followed by 3 nights of racing, an Xfinity race, a truck race, and another Cup race, all on FS1. I hope everyone has been staying healthy and safe, and thanks to everyone who works in industries that allows us to be healthy and safe.
For more great NASCAR on Fox content, subscribe to our channel. It's somewhere right around here.